As a part of everyone's journey to becoming a veterinarian, part of that journey is going to vet school. And you got to get into vet school. So there's a lot of steps into the process. And I'm excited to say that on Vet Life Reimagined, the podcast, we got a question submitted around advice for building a resume or CV for internships and trying to get more experience in the field to get into vet school. So I'm Dr. Megan Sprinkle. I'm a veterinarian and excited to share some of my personal experience as well as resources and tips around this very topic. And I think this will hopefully be helpful, especially if you are trying to get into vet school. But if you are also looking for other opportunities, maybe for growth, you're already a veterinarian and you're just looking for other experiences and things to do, maybe this will give you some inspiration. Also, if you are a veterinarian who is trying to help someone get into vet school, this might be a great resource for you or to share with them. So I hope you enjoy this. I will start by giving you some additional resources to check out as well. I'll make sure to link those. I'll give you some overall tips for these experiences and then leave you with some final inspiration that I found very inspiring. And so if anything, you want to scroll to the last little bit to get those final pieces of inspiration. So, like I said, for resources, I'm happy to share my ideas and experience with this, but I want you to have some other resources as well. So the AVMA, which is American Veterinary Medical Association, has a site called Vet School Admission 101, and it is a list to help you get the best chance of getting into vet school. So this is a really good resource to make sure that you check out if that is what you are doing, trying to get into vet school. Another resource is a website from the American Association of Veterinary Medical Colleges. They don't have necessarily a list about experiences to get into vet school, but if that is your stage, this is going to be a very helpful resource with different statistics and things that will help you get into vet school. So make sure to check those out after this video. Now, for some overall tips when you go into these experiences, no matter what experience you are going to go into, no matter what interest of animal health you are interested in, these are going to be super, super important. So when you go into these experiences or apply for them, not even there yet, I want you to put in all of your efforts to get to know people when you are in these experiences. Because when you get into or applying for vet school, you will need letters of recommendation. Often you pull your professors, any veterinarian you've interacted with, and they really need to know you to really make a really good letter of recommendation. You know, maybe they'll say, well, they showed up on time, or yeah, they got good grades. What is really going to be more helpful is if they can give you a really detailed recommendation based on you and your enthusiasm and all of that. So really take time to get to know people through this. Yes, we often are attracted to this profession for the animals, but the people are essential. Now, when I say get to know these people, I'm not saying you have to suck up. That's just annoying. People don't like that. Just be the genuine person you are. Appreciate other people. Be interested. Be curious. Ask questions. If you are afraid to look silly or stupid or that's not the case, ask questions. It helps you look interested and enthusiastic. They know you're trying to learn, so they expect you to ask questions. So make sure you do that because that's going to be huge. And when you're asking questions, yes, it could be about the medicine or why did you do that? But the other types of questions that you want to ask when you have this opportunity is ask them about their personal career journeys. I mean, that's what we do here on Vet Life Reimagined is really interview people and understanding who they are as a human being, why they made certain changes or choices in their career path. Those are good questions to ask as well. Get to know them. What did they like? What do they not like about the job? What's the hardest part? Really start to learn absolutely everything you can and soak it up like a sponge, okay? Ask them what they wish they had learned, maybe when they were in your shoes. Those are all great questions because you really want to start thinking about all these different skills as early as possible. And this is a really fun part of forming your own path because there's no one way to do anything. So now let's get to some opportunities for animal experiences. Again, when you are talking to people, trying to find out more about experiences, let people know what your goals and interests are so that they can help you find these opportunities when they arise. But here are some examples from my brain and my experience. So one is ride-alongs. These are great for equine and large animal experiences. So depending on where you're located, you may also find deer farms. I've gone to a deer farm before, and that was really, really cool. But don't forget other animals like bees and poultry. Poultry can really range from backyard poultry to industrial. Probably industrial might be a little bit hard to get experience, but it never hurts to ask. And that will probably give you a lot of background that you had never thought of before. But definitely, even if it's, equine, large animal, I definitely got my bovine experience that way, doing ride-alongs before vet school. So those are all opportunities. Google for these people and see if they don't mind you riding along. Even if it's for, a couple of times, it still builds up your resume there. Also, I did horseback riding when I think I started in the 4th grade and then stopped around the 9th grade due to demands of high school and stuff like that. But that really got me around horses, and I knew how horses worked. I was comfortable being around them. I knew how to put on leads and feed them and things like that. And so that's really big, whether it's horseback riding or seeing if you can work in a stable to get around horses, or just go walk around. Anything you can do, right? That you can try to get experience around these different animals. Horses are going to be a big part of your school curriculum. So I think it is good to at least be familiar walking around a horse, that kind of thing. Because I have had fellow students who'd had no horse experience, and when you had those equine rotations, they were a little nervous because they're really big animals. So those are great opportunities to get experience. Also, I'm becoming more and more of a fan. I did not know anything about 4-H programs when I was younger, but if you did participate when you were younger, or you still can participate, it's a great opportunity to learn about animals, especially different species. And if you're even past the 4-H age to be a participant, see if you can support or volunteer with these different events. They have lots of events that you can attend. And this will be great for your resume, if you were in 4-H, put that on your resume. If you are volunteering or helping an event or something, that's also great animal experience as well. You're getting around them. You really get to learn about them. So definitely don't forget about 4-H programs. Now, kind of like ride-alongs, but called more like job shadowing, can be great for companion animals, exotic animals, not only in a veterinary clinic or hospital, but don't forget your animal shelters as well. If you can find an animal shelter that has a veterinarian that visits regularly, or you can, show up when they do, that's great too. But again, just volunteering at the animal shelter at least starts getting you that animal experience. No excuse to not get some animal experience. There's usually animal shelters pretty much in every location. So that's a great place to start. Also, don't forget about university professors. If you are in college already, your college professors, they might have different animal opportunities for you. Again, let them know what you're interested in. So when they do those things, they can think of you and they can pull you in. One time, this was before vet school, I was going on vacation to a beach in North Carolina. And my dad actually reminded me that NC State had a branch there. And so I reached out and said I was going to be in town. Could I come by and, say hello, meet them? And what do you know? They were actually going to be doing a project that week where they were going to tag fish. And so I got to show up and learned about fish anesthesia and how to tag them. So I learned a lot just because I reached out and called and said, hey, I'm going to be in town. Can I come by and meet you? So that was a really cool opportunity. If you're like, these are great, is there an opportunity to also get paid? Potentially, yes. You can get jobs at small animal clinics. Sometimes it is starting as the kennel cleaner. Been there, done that. Most of us have. So it's a great opportunity to start getting around veterinarians and veterinary clinics, understanding every aspect of how they work. So that's also really important. I mentioned working at a horse barn before. Yeah, it's not the most glamorous work. Welcome to veterinary medicine. That's usually where we all start. That's okay. Animal shelters, usually they're more volunteer basis, but there might be some job opportunities. It might be more like in a marketing department, which is really actually some cool skills to gain as well. Plus, you're still around animals. So you never know what jobs they might need that you could do. Don't forget pet stores. These could be a local pet store, or it could be a bigger chain like Petco or PetSmart. Some of these actually have veterinary clinics in them, or have certain days where the veterinarian comes in to do like vaccines or things. So definitely, if you, again, can get around the veterinarian in those environments, that's great. But working in a pet store actually can give you a lot of information about pets and what they need, and getting to know what pet parents are looking for with their pets. That's a great advantage going into vet school and becoming a veterinarian. Other things, again, depending on where you're located and how easy it is to find these things, but being a farmhand will get you around farm animals. Pet sitting and pet walking. These are definitely things you can do probably anywhere you are, is reaching out and offering to do pet sitting or pet walking. I actually had a guest who wanted to be a veterinarian. He started a pet walking business. It got so big and profitable that he actually stuck with that for a few years. It delayed getting into vet school, but he did eventually go to vet school, and that was a great opportunity to learn business skills, get some money beforehand, and get your animal experience. So that was a really cool story. If you're interested in that, I can link that episode below as well. Also, don't forget that when you are in these settings, don't always think it has to be the veterinarian that you're shadowing and learning from. You can learn from everybody in these situations, whether it's the veterinary technicians. My goodness, they will teach you so much. The hospital managers. See if you can shadow the hospital manager for a day just to understand what they do. Understanding everybody's role in whether it's a practice or think about a zoo. I can talk about that a little bit too. It's really helpful to understand everybody's job and role, because that's not always something you get in vet school, but it's going to be really important once you get out of vet school and start practicing. So for example, I did a lot of work and volunteering and shadowing and internships in zoos and aquariums. And I learned so much from like the zookeepers and the other people within the staff. And honestly, it was a really fun part of the experience too, is that's often when you get a little more hands-on, especially in the zoo and aquarium world. So again, take opportunities of learning from everybody. So speaking of zoos, there's lots of different roles within a zoo. Sometimes that they need volunteers, such as educators, camp counselors. Zookeepers usually have degrees, but you never know. So see if they have some opportunities there if you are really interested in that area. Like I said, I've volunteered with, or job shadow is probably the better term than volunteer, but this was actually during my internship. So this was after vet school, but I was in Chattanooga doing my internship, and they have a fantastic aquarium. I reached out to the veterinarian who supports that aquarium, and he was amazing. He said, sure, I go to the aquarium on these days. If that does not conflict with your work schedule, feel free to come on and you can shadow me. And I learned a lot. It was a lot of fun. I got to do blood draws on penguins and all sorts of stuff. So you absolutely never know. So never hesitate to ask. The worst thing they could say is no. Wildlife groups or conservation groups. Again, lots of different things out there that you might be able to get involved with. Do you have a state park that you could support? Then there's things like SeaWorld and other things similar to that. I did career camps at SeaWorld when I was younger, way before vet school. And so, one, if you're that age, see if there's those types of camps for you. But they needed camp counselors. So those are other things that you might be able to do. And I'm pretty sure they got paid. So again, if you're looking for a paid opportunity, see what it takes to get in and be a camp counselor, because that would be a really cool experience. You learn a lot, plus you're getting to do all those behind the scenes things too. Also, don't forget about research. Research labs usually have a lot of different opportunities, especially for undergrads. I definitely recommend starting with your university that you're currently at. Because it's usually easier, and they're more than happy usually to try to support their own students to get experiences, especially during summers. They have a lot of programs that you can help with different research projects. Some may be hands-on with animals, some may not, but it's still great to put on your resume. You get to learn and meet a lot of different people in these animal departments, which is good. And it may not even be an animal department. If your school is attached to, well, definitely if a vet school, definitely try to get in there. But even some of the medical schools have different departments that might do research. that can give you a lot of really cool things to put on your CV. So think about that. There's a good example. I had a friend who is a vet tech, but she did some work at the Mayo Clinic for the human health, but it was using animal models. So again, lots of different opportunities there. Animal training, if you're really interested in behavior, or maybe you do agility with your dog, learning some animal training skills might be a neat way to get to have some hands-on experience. Maybe you can shadow an animal trainer. Again, they're not going to be usually veterinarians, but again, animal experience. You learn a lot about the animal during that. And maybe something that not a lot of people will think about, and it's not free, but my goodness, I think it would be really cool to put on your resume if you do fear-free certification. And you do not have to be a veterinary professional to do this certification. They have things for like pet sitters as well. It's about $120, I think, to do some of these courses. Definitely look it up. I'll put the link for the fear-free below so you can see if that seems like something you might be able to do or maybe get sponsored to do. But is that something, honestly, even though I do not work in a clinic setting, I'm really thinking about participating in myself because these are just some really cool, really practical skills that I think will be helpful for you, definitely through vet school when you're getting your animal experience, but definitely long term. And I would think that would be quite impressive to see that already on your resume, that you know about that and you've gotten involved in that. And finally, make sure that you are taking advantage of any type of animal club, medical club that is at your university. I went to a smaller university and they didn't have a pre-vet club. They kind of put the pre-vet people with the pre-med people, but we still had different people that came in and presented. That's one way. Make sure you talk to them, say thank you, ask them some questions after they present. They might also help you find opportunities on campus. So really lean into those groups and participate there. Now, those are just some ideas for animal experiences. You don't have to do all of these, my goodness, to get in, but these are just ideas. If you have certain areas of interest, lean into the ones that sound the most interesting, but it's still really good to get some diverse experience too. So I definitely did not think I was going to work with cows, but I did ride-alongs with the large animal veterinarians, and it's still really fun and interesting. And often schools really do look for some diverse experiences, because if you don't, they potentially may ask you about it. So those are all things to think about. Again, you don't have to do everything, but do try to have some diverse experiences, but especially lean into the ones you really think you're interested in, because it might help you know, oh yeah, this is really cool. I might want to continue to lean into this, or oh my, no, no thank you. So anyway, I hope that those were interesting and helpful. And while a lot of people think about animal experiences, there's some other experiences I don't want you to forget as well. And this was also mentioned on the AVMA site. So definitely got some support in the thought process around some really different types of experiences that people may not think about. And I think because people don't think about it, it may actually be extra impressive if you have some of these under your belt too. And that's around leadership, communication, and business skills. Animal experiences are important, so don't necessarily sacrifice the animal experiences for these, but these are still going to be crucial for every aspect of your career in veterinary medicine. So for leadership skills, you can hold office in student government or other groups. Like I said, get involved with those pre-vet clubs or organizations. If they don't have one, start your own. Those are a lot of options. And maybe if you're not an officer of the group, maybe there's a project you could lead. Those are all things that you can do that will help you develop some leadership skills to put on your resume. So really get creative with those. With communication skills, a lot of universities offer courses in this, whether it's speaking or writing. Communication skills are super, super important. Can even help you with interview skills. So that's important as well. People skills as well. So I actually minored in psychology. I love psychology. I'm fascinated with how people think and work. And that's all important because in veterinary medicine, you're going to work with people every day. So it's important to understand some of those things about how to work with people. Again, not something that a lot of people think about, but make sure you talk about that as well on your CV, because I think that will help you stand out and really look very well-rounded. On the business side of things, maybe take a business or entrepreneurship class. I think those opportunities are really helpful. I'm a little biased. I really like entrepreneurship, but business skills are part of life as well. So if you have a couple of these classes that you're like, I know how important this is, so I took this class, or I shadowed this person, I asked these types of questions, I think that will be really helpful into getting into vet school. And again, there's a lot of applicants going into vet school, so you really want to stand out. And so these are all different things potentially to think about. Now, I know that was a lot, but hopefully that starts some wheels turning, getting inspired about different things you might be able to pursue or different places to reach out to get some of these experiences. And as I promised, I want to leave you some inspiration that I heard from another podcast. And the guest of the podcast was the CEO of IBM, Jimmy Rometty. And she's actually written a book called Good Power. When you think you have nothing, you still have the power to change your own situation. I've not read this book, but this episode was so good. I actually listened to it twice. I am definitely putting this on my to-read list. But here are the summary points from the episode, and they were just so good. Write them down or listen again, because these are going to be so crucial to get you in the right mindset when you are getting experiences for your CV, if you're already in veterinary profession, and these are going to be things that continue to help you find the career path that really allows you to thrive. So here are these points. Number 1, run to your work, not away from things. You want to be leaning into what you like, not running away from fears and negativity. We talk about this one a lot throughout the podcast. So when you are making decisions or pivoting, make sure that you're not making decisions out of fear, like you're running away from something, but you're constantly looking for, what do I like? What can I lean into? This looks so much better to other people. People can tell when you are doing things based off of fear. So make sure that you are not running away for things, but you are leaning into what you like. Point number 2, being a continuous learner. Being a constant apprentice, learning new life skills and lessons, no matter how experienced you are. If you are working on that CV, trying to get into vet school, you are a total learner. Make sure you embrace it. People know it. So it's a great opportunity to really ask those questions, really figure out what are some of the things you like, especially think about how that relates to you, who you are as a person. What are the skills you're starting to see in yourself? And it's okay. You don't have to have everything down pat, but start listening into those things. And especially if you are already in the veterinary profession, we still have so much to learn. You will always be learning something no matter your age or how long you've been in veterinary medicine. So great mindset to keep. Third is networking. Some people think this is a dirty word. It isn't. But when you are thinking about networking, also don't forget to view it as what you can give to others as well, not always what you can get. We also need to serve other people. We need to make relationships mutual. So yes, when you're getting ready for vet school, you may not feel like you can offer a lot, but what can you offer? You are there to work. You're there to give your all. You're there to give your enthusiasm and appreciation for what people are helping you do to achieve a dream that you have. And then definitely, as you have been in this career for a long time, you've learned more skills. And yes, networking is trying to learn other opportunities and get to know people. But don't forget that you have that other side of things to offer to others as well. Fourth is seek discomfort. Take on things that are learning opportunities. Again, if you're getting ready for your CV, you're totally embracing, that's great. And not all things are comfortable. Like me, who had no experience being around cows, going on that ride-along was a little intimidating. I knew I wanted to have diverse experiences to get into vet school. And so sometimes leaning into those things that are uncomfortable are the best ways to grow and learn. Who knows? I may have been on that ride-along and said, this is amazing. I love this. I want to do this for the rest of my life. That is not what I ended up with, but you never know until you try something. So this is a really important part to help you start seeing what are the possibilities out there for you and your career path, figuring out what you like. So don't be afraid to lean into discomfort. a lot of it may be brand new and uncomfortable at the start. That's perfectly normal. And even as you are getting into your career, you're going to find things that are uncomfortable. Things that are new are often uncomfortable. But if you're looking for opportunities and new things to do with your career, that's okay to lean into that. And finally, I want you to know that you do not have to plan every aspect of your life right now, especially when you're younger. There's so much to learn and experience. Embrace things with a curious mindset. But even if you've been in veterinary medicine for decades, you don't have to have everything planned out. Things still pop up and that you can explore. Let these things unfold naturally. It's good to think about the future, but don't let it cripple your present. Don't let it be that you can only have a straight path where you might miss opportunities to get to where you want to go. As long as you are learning and engaging, doors will open up soon enough. So thank you for listening to this solo episode. It's one of my first solo episodes. I love being able to get questions and answer them. So if you have questions and you're listening on audio, there is a text message feature. It is a one-way messaging system though. I cannot respond directly to you, but if I think it makes a great episode, I'd be happy to make an episode just like this to answer your question and even bringing them into some of my conversations with the guests. So that's a great way. If you're on YouTube, jot it right down in the description. That'll be great. If you want to have me be able to answer you directly, feel free to find me on LinkedIn and message me there. But again, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please, if you enjoyed it or you're enjoying the podcast, share it with a friend. Like on YouTube, please subscribe. Our goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers. We've still got a little ways to go, so we definitely need your help. So thank you, and until next week.